Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO, and we are the co-founders of the Ridge Project and the co-creators of TYRO.
TYRO is a Latin word which means apprentice, novice, someone learning something new, a warrior. Woo.
That's right, and we're not talking about warring for things that don't matter. We're talking about warring for your family legacy.
You know, when you find yourself incarcerated, you find yourself in county jail, you find yourself in the predicament that you're in right now. But if you can remember, go back in time and you were like, oh my gosh, what happened? What did I do to cause me here? And you're in a state of shock, right? Well, today we want to talk about when you're in that state of shock and you're desperate for, you don't want to lose your family. Today we're going to talk about how in that situation that you're in, that you can still bring hope to your family.
You see, Ron and I did 15 years of prison. Ron doing time on the inside, and the boys and I did time on the outside. In spite of the hardship of that time, we learned a lot of lessons. And the key lesson we learned was how to thrive together as a family and overcome every adversity together to come to the other side stronger and successful. And so that's what we want to help you do.
Because in order to get where you want to go, and you're there now, to embrace this experience, it's going to take a lot of discipline, a lot of hard work, and a lot of self-examination, right? Because this isn't the end of your story. There is life after penitentiary. There is life after county jail, but you got to be willing to just stop, listen, and learn. Right?
That's right. I'm going to say stop, drop, and roll. But you're right. Stop,
listen, and learn, right? Because your best thinking got you where? Got you right where you're at right now. And we want to help you shift in your mind a thinking pattern that will not only bring success to you right where you're at, but will also transfer those principles, those keys to when you go home, you can bring success to you and your family.
If we can do it, you can do it. If we can overcome, you can. Like completely ridiculous. Ron's in prison, I'm on welfare, and then look at us today. Today we have an opportunity to help people coming behind us. And had we not practiced the principles we learned, we would still be sitting on welfare. Ron probably would end up back in prison. So we're gonna challenge the way you think. We're gonna cause you to look at your life in a little different way, but we're also gonna help equip you so that you can become the best dad you can be, even from behind bars.
You know, it's sometimes it's hard to believe that people are counting on you and they're rooting for you, but there are a lot of people rooting for you to make it. There's a lot of people out there that don't want to see you back there in this situation again. And there's a lot of people who are rooting for you and believe in you. And we're part of that group,
That's right?
Because we know if we can do it, so can you.
But more than just rooting for you, we're really rooting for your kids. My heart breaks when I see children whose dads are in prison and the heartache that they walk around with. And that's why today's topic is so important to me, because we are going to give you tips and tools. We're going to explain what we're talking about, what the situation is, why it's important, and how you can change it in helping to bring hope to your kids.
So listen, you don't want to miss this episode. We guarantee you, you're going to be empowered, you're going to be transformed, but you got to stay tuned, all right? And we'll be right back.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You'll begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you're not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than what many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Catherine TYRO's own personal experiences. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You'll be prepared to overcome the obstacles of incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You will be one of the honored, a man worth following. If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO, or you want to know more, contact your local project facilitator or your institution staff.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO.
And today we're talking about hope. How do you take hope from where you're at and really transfer it from that place you're in to your family where they're at?
Specifically, we're talking about helping your kids find hope. It's a big deal, guys. It's a really big deal.
It's a place where in the midst of your darkness, in the midst of your growth and what's going on with you in the penitentiary, you still got to find it within you to be able to bring hope to your children that this isn't the end of the story. This isn't the end of the road. And what is hope? You know, that's what we want to talk about right now. What is hope, and what does it mean to be able to empower others to walk in hope?
Especially your children. So first of all, you have to be able to see hope. When we talk about hope, we mean the ideal and the way of thinking, the perspective that this is not permanent. Like, okay, we're not a permanent failure. Our family has not permanently failed. It's like bringing a different perspective into a really difficult situation. Say that with me. A different perspective.
A different perspective.
Into a difficult situation.
Into a difficult situation.
And that's what you have to do. You have to be the deliverer, the preparer of that different perspective. Because if you look at this, the direness of the situation, we are not minimizing how difficult it is to have a dad in prison or to be a dad and be in prison. That is a really tough place. But when you switch the perspective just a little bit and you see it as an opportunity to grow and you see it a little bit different, then you can help your kids see that this is not the end of the story.
Because it's a wonder, you know, when you think about it, how are your children seeing this experience? How are they walking throughout their life and their growth? And then more importantly, after you come home or wherever it happens, when they grow up, what is their nature and their character going to be because of this experience? And so one of the things, what we're talking about, why or what is hope? Hope empowers. Hope gives the ability to dream. Hope can see a better future. And that's what hope does. And it's really important, Dad, that you convey that to your children, that though today may look like this, we have the hope and belief that tomorrow is going to look better.
I will tell you, one of the hardest things for me in going through the journey with Ron in prison was watching my kids. And over time, watching that spark in their eyes start to go dull. You know, that childlike innocence and everything. They're happy, they're joyful, because they don't have the grown-up concerns. But over time, they began to not just have grown-up concerns, but to have extraordinary concerns because Dad was in prison. And so I watched that little flicker in their eyes start to die out as pain crept in. And so Ron and I had to be really creative in our ways of trying to re-spark that and trying to continue to keep that hope alive. Because sometimes it just feels easier to give up. And so, Dad, you can't let that happen. You have to keep that torch burning. You cannot let the light in their eyes go out.
You know, that's a good word, Cathy. This is a real serious topic that we're talking about, because your children are counting on you to give them a reason to live. Right? Oh man, you're giving them a reason to be excited about their tomorrows, despite what's happening in their present. You know, they're probably being ridiculed at school, or they're probably
behind their back,
behind their back, excluded, and the things that are happening in their life, they may not even be sharing with you, and they might just be keeping it to themselves. But it's your job, Dad, to constantly pour into them that there is a better tomorrow, that this isn't the end of the road for us. This is just a pit stop. Right?
So when we talk, what are we talking about? We're talking about you being the thing that disrupts hopelessness. That you, Dad, don't count on it being from anywhere else, because you don't know if it's coming from anywhere else. You have to be the disruptor of hopelessness in your children's life. You have to, because that heaviness, that dark, heavy cloud, that despair, that feeling of loneliness and isolation, and somehow feeling less than as they watch all of their friends, or in their mind, they think all of their friends, which isn't true either, but they see all these other dads showing up. They see their dads teaching their kids how to ride a bike. They see dads teaching their kids how to throw a ball, or dads showing up to the daddy-daughter dance, and they're at home thinking, gosh, my dad's in prison. You have to disrupt that hopelessness.
Because this is constantly being piled up upon them, right? And as Cathy's saying, as you disrupt it, the blows that are gonna come, they're gonna come. They're not as severe because you're there to help cushion the hit. You're here to help cushion the blow and to soften it. When
You're building up that armor, right?
Yeah, when society is casting them away, you're bringing them closer to you. And that's all they want. They could really care less what society is saying. All they want is you, Dad. And they need to hear from you to say, you know what, it's going to be okay. I'm going to come home, and we are going to be a family that's together. Right now, we're growing, and we have to deal with this. But if you can come in a way that you can ignite a hope for tomorrow in their lives.
That's right. So say this with me. I am a hopelessness disruptor.
disruptor.
Say it again.
I am a hopelessness disruptor.
And that's really important because when something disrupts, it like dispels what's happening. And so when we come back, we got to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about why it's so important, Dad, for you to actually be the person that helps your kids find hope.
So stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. We'll be right back.
Playing catch, basketball, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. These are all normal things on the outside, but many times are missed in a visitation setting. TYRO Dads brings the same fun experience to the inside through Family Days. As a TYRO Dad, you have the opportunity to participate in this fantastic event. Family Day is designed to allow fathers and families to engage with each other through activities designed to stimulate communication, learning, and play. Family Days will not only be a highlight for you, but for your children as well. The Ridge Project has strategically developed Family Day as an opportunity to help you connect with your child throughout your separation and help both of you develop skills to continue building your relationship when you return home.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO.
And today we're talking about hope. How do you empower your family to dream again, to really live for a better tomorrow and to know that it's coming, right?
Right. And now we're going to talk about why it's so important to help your kids find hope right now.
It's so vital right now, Dad. You know, one of the hardest jobs in the world, I believe, is being a father or being a dad from behind bars, right? Because you got to be creative, you have to be in tune, and you got to be present in your children's life. Why is it important? Because if there's no hope, then you got to ask yourself, if hope isn't there, then what is occupying that space? What is there? You know, opposite of hope is despair. And despair, he walks with a guy named bitterness. And if your children are growing up and they're becoming adults and they've been carrying bitterness as a child for so long,
and anger and dysfunction, all of those things begin to suffocate the life out of your child. And then your child becomes very susceptible to negative influences in their life, whether that's gang activity or whether that's sex, drugs, alcoholism, self-mutilation. All of those negative things then become more attractive to your child when hope does not reign in their heart. Dad, you have an incredible opportunity. When we think about the big why is because it will save their lives. It will save their life right now, and it will save their future for them. And so you have an incredible opportunity to make a tremendous difference in the lives of your children, but you have to take advantage of it.
And you can't walk away. You can't put your head in the sand and say, you know what, the wife's got him. The mother of the children are going to take care of him. Listen, Dad.
Or my mom's got him, my brother, my uncle.
It doesn't work that way. You have a responsibility, even from behind bars. Even if you don't have no communication with them, write the letters. Do whatever it takes to at least begin the process of letting them know that when they grow up older, that you were doing everything you could from behind bars.
It is your privilege because, see, Dad, right now, your situation, I'm not saying it's necessarily you, and it may be you. You know how you interacted with your children before you came to prison. So maybe you actually created some hopelessness. Maybe it's a situation that you're in prison, that you invested in your kids before you went to prison, but decisions you were making landed you in there. And now that situation is creating hopelessness in your children. So that means you're involved in the situation that's creating the pain for your children. Because what we say all the time is that you must become the antidote. You were the poison that created the situation, or the situation you're in created the poison, so you have the solution. You cannot walk away and pretend like somebody else is gonna come up with the antidote, because they're not. You have to solve it.
So, you know, when we talk about the big why, as Cathy said a little bit ago, you know, why is this important? Because wounded people wound others. Your children are going to be wounded, they're hurt, they're in pain, and the only thing to release that, you put enough pressure on a pipe, what happens? It will explode. Well, if there's no healing or no hope poured into your kids, if you're not doing that, then this hurt and pain that they're feeling, this isolation, this castaway mentality, they're going to hurt others. Because why? Because they're hurting and all they know is how to lash out. And you wonder, why can't you get along with mom? What's going on in school? Why are you always in trouble? Why are you always fighting? Well, you know what? This is how I feel, and I don't know how else to get it out but by retaliating and letting everybody else feel like I feel.
Right.
Right?
And so the truth is that they're in so much pain and that they're losing hope that there could possibly be a better future for them. And so it's so important, Dad, that you find a way to inspire hope in your children so that they can see that this is temporary. This is an event in their life. And even in the midst of this event, there's a ton of opportunity to become better. There's a ton of opportunity to stand up and stand out and learn things that are going to set them apart in a positive way. But you're the only one. Yes, you, Dad, right where you are, you're the only one that can truly transform that. Now, I'm not saying that you're the only one doing it, because there'll be other people, hopefully, there's other connections in their life that are trying to, but you have a unique ability to penetrate their hearts that nobody else can.
You know, there might be some guys right now walking by the TV, and you're a dad, and you feel that nobody can teach you anything, and you're walking by, and you might be even shrugging your shoulders, and they say, look, it's them again. It's that Ron and Cathy show. And you might even be laughing at us for doing this. But you know what? Somebody's got to tell you, man. If you're locked up, man, there's still hope for you and your family. Your story's not over yet. But if you feel you're not teachable, well, guess what? You're still locked up. You're still locked up here. Because you're in a place where it is your responsibility to get it together, man. Because you don't want to see your kids where you're at. Ain't nobody grow up. You can ask any healthy father right now, would you like to see your son follow you to prison? Every dad I've met across the United States has never said, yeah, I want my sons to catch up to me and be here with me, and my daughters to be in prison. They've never said that. They always want something better for their children. Well, here's your opportunity. Stop what you're doing, knock off that chip off your shoulder, and quit thinking that you got it all together, because you don't.
That's right. And the truth is, if you think that you don't need this, if you don't need any extra help, or you don't need to learn anything that you can't be taught, that's your defense mechanism. The truth is, you're not sure that you actually are a good dad. And I'm going to tell you, you are. Good dads are dads that are present, dads that are continuing to try. There's no such thing as perfect. But when you begin to try and you begin to actually find hope for a better future for you, I mean, true, honest hope, not that pretend defensiveness, machismo that says, you know what, ain't nothing gonna take me down, but the real warrior rises up. You're gonna be able to lead your children into that place as well. And that will cast off that big, heavy, dark cloud off of your kids so that they can be successful.
Now, we get it, man. You're in the penitentiary, and you gotta have that fence up, that wall up. I get it. And nothing can take you down. But your children don't have that type of defense mechanism. There's nobody there to protect them, Dad. This is why it's so vital that you pour into them hope and the ambitions and goals and desires and dreams that they can live to their full potential, because they're seeing you bring hope to them, and they're listening and they're embracing it, and they know they got a great future because of what you're empowering them to believe and to know and to do.
Right, so we gotta take a short break. When we come back, we're gonna tell you how to do it. Practical tips, things you can do right now that will help you help your kids find hope right where they are.
So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Dear son, it's been hard these last few years, watching you grow up without me in the picture. Never taking the time to find out how you were or what was going on in your life. You're just a boy, I thought. You don't need me. I didn't need my dad. He was never around, I told myself. But I was wrong, son. I'm supposed to be a grown man. I was selfish. I was stupid. I was thinking of me, not you. If I could go back, son, and change things, I would. It's taken me all this time being selfish to finally grow up and realize I need to be a responsible man. That's what I finally learned, not from prison, but the TYRO program. It's all about becoming a better, stronger man. Wish I would have gotten it sooner. Everything looks different to me now. I'm a changed person. I know I need to be there for you now. It's not about me anymore. It's not about being cool. It's not about who I run with. It's about mom. It's about you. It's about being a better man, learning something new in my life. It's about being a TYRO, a man worth following. I'm your dad. You're my son, and I love you. I am a TYRO. I'm a TYRO. Dad.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO.
And we have had the pleasure of talking about hope. And this is really dear to our heart because, we get to do what we get to do because we had hope, right?
Absolutely.
Despite the situation, being sentenced for 14 and 25 years for a crime I didn't commit, but nonetheless, we were there. We found ourselves in a place that we either adapt, die, or move. Well,
I couldn't move.
Right? And I wasn't going to kill myself, and I
Right,
didn't want
that's
my
right.
family to die.
Right.
So we had to adapt. We had to
Right.
figure it out. How do we make it? How do we survive? And not only survive, but how do we thrive
Thrive.
in this
That's
type
right.
of situation? And I'm telling you what, man, it was hope that we found even in the midst of our circumstances, penitentiary, living apart, welfare dependency, all these things that were piling up against us, we were able to find the light of hope in it and be able to overcome it.
So we're talking to you today about helping your kids find hope even in the midst of this journey, this situation, this chapter that they're in right now. And so in this segment, we really want to give you some tips and tools. So the first thing, and this is really, really important, is that you have got to practice empathy, not sympathy. Because when you practice sympathy, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. If I was there, I would beat them up. You know what? I'm going to punch them in the face. You know what? I'm going to have so-and-so call so-and-so's mom, or I'm going to have your mom or your grandma or your aunt show up at the school. Like making them a victim does not instill hope. It does not give them courage. It does not help them find their way on the
And it may
path.
sound like that's what you're doing because you say, I got your back. I'm going to go take care of this for you. Don't
Right.
you worry about a thing, sweetheart. I got you. I'm going to go deal with this.
Right.
And it may feel like you're helping them and empowering them, but really you're creating them to become a victim.
And you're causing their brain not to develop properly, so their decision-making skills are going to be flawed for the rest of their lives. They'll have to fight really hard to be able to make a firm decision. But when you're empathetic, and that means saying things like, man, that's got to be really tough. Oh, man, I bet that really hurt. Man, that sounds really unfair. So now, how are we going to handle it? Or what do you think is the best thing to do? And that way you are empathizing with them. You're recognizing the pain of it. You're recognizing the difficultness of it, but you're also empowering them and letting them know, you know what? You have the opportunity to do something to change that circumstance. Maybe it's find a different friend, but something that they have the power to do.
And that's really what you're doing. You're really creating thinkers. You're helping them become problem solvers, right? And that's really important, Dad. From right there, instead of you having the answer, or because we can talk about us. Cathy, when I first went to prison, before I went to prison, I was the one paying, not necessarily paying the bills. I owed bills, but I was the one responsible for everything: getting the car fixed, making sure the alarm was board, everything that had to deal with getting it done. I was responsible for that. So I never empowered Cathy how to do these things.
I got it.
Right?
Don't you worry your pretty little head about
Yeah,
that.
don't you worry about it. You just be what I want you to be, what I want you to be, right?
Oh, my
Right? But what I did was I didn't help her, but I enabled her. I made it worse for her. She didn't know what to do when situations arose. And so now I'm in prison now. Now she's got to go deal with somebody who may have shortchanged her, sold her a lawnmower that didn't work, right? I remember this story.
Right, yeah.
And I told her, you got to do it, babe. You got to go do it. And so that's what you're going to have to do to help your kids become that strong and knowing and have that courage.
Right.
They can face it.
So they know that they have some control of their lives, because when we feel like we have choice, when we feel like we have some control, when we feel like our decisions matter, it inspires hope in us. Like, wow, you know what? I can change something. And so moving the place of sympathy to a place of empathy is going to go a long way. And so the next one is start a gratefulness journal together. And so that means that you're writing things you're grateful for, they're writing things they're grateful for, and you're sharing those things in visits, phone calls, or letters. When you're saying, you know what, these are the things I'm really grateful for right now. Or, oh, wow, I noticed that you had some of the same things on your list that I have on mine. And so it's helping reframe the way that we see our situation.
And the third thing is what we want to talk about is dads, they got to see you smile. They got to hear you laugh. When
Bring joy.
Bring joy to that visiting room, to that phone call. Because if you're always talking about, did you talk to the lawyer? Did you send me my money? Can you send me food? And you're always having a serious
You
conversation.
got to be the man of the house now. You got to defend this. You know what? Because dad's not there, you got to pick up and do more chores. Like heap responsibility. That's going to smother out hope.
And And really, I want to really emphasize, they need to hear you laugh. They need to hear that despite the situation, you can still have the power to laugh. At even maybe the situation, right? I mean, this is a tough place, it's a tough time, but you gotta help find the laughter, the joy in the midst of it, or they will grow up bitter, they will grow up angry, and misery, loves company, and you don't want your children to grow up like that.
And they will feel like they don't have a right to be, like they're not allowed to be joyful or happy. Like somehow, like other people are allowed to be, but not me. I'm supposed to be angry. I'm supposed to be like this. And so they won't laugh. They won't look for opportunities. They'll be disdainful towards joy. You need to infuse joy because joy feeds hope. And so if you take the joy away, you're starving hope. Think of it that way. And so I think this is a time. So a good time. I have a joke to share.
All right.
So Ron has
All
a
right.
So yesterday, our daughter came from school, and so she says, "Mom, you want to know what happened?" I said, "What?" She says, "Everybody in my class ate their homework." Why'd they eat their homework? I said, "Bria, they did not." She goes, "They did. Everybody ate their homework." I said, "Okay, Bria, why'd they eat their homework?" And she says, "Because the teacher said it was a piece of cake."
Okay. Yep, that was a joke.
But see, like finding silly stuff, even in the midst of okay, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of stress. Finding a way to de-escalate that stress and make it okay to laugh and have fun, right, is really important.
And dads, you got a lot of jokes in there. Maybe they're not appropriate for the little ones, but they might be appropriate for you and your wife, you and your significant other. So listen, find the joy even in the midst of that dark place. Help your children find the joy in what they're going through, right? Because they're going to come out better and stronger because of what you're doing. You're feeding them with joy, and what Cathy said, it's empowering hope. Woo! That's a good word, babe. It's empowering. It's putting the flesh to hope, where they can really get a hold of it. So we talked about 3 things. So really quick, let's wrap them up. Be empathetic, not sympathetic, right? And write a journal. You're grateful, a journal of gratefulness. Both of you encourage them to write the things that they're grateful for. And the third one
is bring joy. And so that means infuse it in whatever your interaction is with your kids. Make sure that there's some joy. Always think of it of a plus and a minus in the middle. And that means we can't focus the majority of our time on things that are tough. If we need to address the tough things, surround it in positive reinforcement. Okay, so the plus might be that, hey, we're here together. Then this is what's going on. And the next plus is, but we have an opportunity to change it. Always empower. And so we're going to take a short break right now.
And when we come back, we're going to close it up. But we really hope you're enjoying this show, and we really enjoy sharing our heart with you guys. So stay tuned, and we're going to come right back.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You will begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you're not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than what many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Catherine TYRO's own personal experiences. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You'll be prepared to overcome the obstacles of incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You will be one of the honored, a man worth following. If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO, or you want to know more, contact your local project facilitator or your institution staff.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO.
And we really hope you've been enjoying today's show because it's really dear to our heart. And we've been talking about how to empower your children with hope. How, Dad, you can still be that anchor in their lives. How, Dad, you can be that superhero
That's right.
in their lives. You can instill hope and dreams into your children's lives right where they're at and right where you're at.
Not only can you, but you must. You must
That's right.
instill hope in your children. And so if you don't have contact with your kids, find a way to write letters. So as long as you don't have a court order restricting you from contact with your kids, you must make an attempt. You must do all that you can to inspire hope in your children.
Look, your story's not over, Dad. Right? Okay, yes, maybe it was a horrific thing that got you there. Maybe it was a minor thing that got you there. The bottom line is you're there. But the story is not over. There is still hope for you and your family to live out the dreams that you had when you were a child. Maybe you had a rough childhood and there was no hope there. And maybe you even grew up saying, I don't want a relationship like my parents had. I don't want to raise a family like my family was. But you know what? Here's your opportunity to change that. You could still change the outcome of your story.
So maybe your kids have already started making some poor choices. Maybe they're adolescents or they're teenagers, and you're seeing that light has already gone out in their eyes. Guess what? And every time that you say something, say, man, I'm so over that. It doesn't matter. I'm fine. So those are all answers that say, you know what? I'm hurting so bad, I'm afraid to become vulnerable to you. So your job is to still continue to treat them in a way that you know what? They need hope. They're not going to say that they're hopeless. They're not going to tell you that they're struggling, but they need you to instill that hope inside their lives.
So, Dad, if your kids are getting in trouble, I mean, of course they're going to get in trouble. You're not there. They're hurting. But despite not being there, by you empowering them with hope and joy, right? The joy we talked about, you infusing hope with joy, they will start producing the outcome you know they can do. They will start walking with joy and with hope versus despair and grief. Right?
That's right.
That's when children are hurting and they hurt others, it's because despair and grief are in their midst. But if you can get rid of those guys and fill it up with hope and joy, watch the outcome. Watch the light start to turn on them. And when they're going to say, when people are going to ask them, man, where's this coming from? I said, man, I had a visit with my dad. What do you mean? And my dad, he's great. He's awesome. I want to be like him because you are their anchor. You're still their superhero despite where you're at. They need you, Dad.
Right. That's exactly right. You know, we are so excited that we get to be a part of your journey. We're so excited to be able to give you some information because we believe that you are transforming the world, starting with yourself and your own family, your own children. If we didn't believe that, we would not be putting all of our time and energy into helping create a better path for you.
Man, I tell you what, we've really enjoyed this time. But the show's coming to an end. But we want to always tell you, listen, we thank you for allowing us to be part of your journey. Thank you for letting us come into your living room, right? And just share our hearts with you. And we hope we be able to impart into you something that would take you to a new level, a new height, and a new dream.
So until next time, always remember that we are rooting for you.